Okay, folks, welcome back to another Piggy Plus live stream. Today we're going to be covering another update, including a bunch of other updates that we've been doing around this map. Let's just get this right in here. We're going to start off with some of the greatest updates, starting live over at the news center. Speaking of live, the news center has received a complete update. We've actually gotten rid of a good area of space right here, and what we did was we expanded it by a floor. Yeah, we have little expansions actually sticking out of the building. I think it looks great. I do not believe I showed you guys the roof. The roof is something I just finished last night. So let's actually quickly go in, and then we're gonna get into all the details of what we're doing today's project, because this is one of two major projects that has been worked on, and then I have a handful of minor projects that I've started working on and are nearing the end of. So right here is where essentially Sᴜභꜱ Square is going to be, but that's just owned by the news center. It's their own news area. If they want to do outdoor events or something, if they want to broadcast something out here, do promos for a product that they're sponsoring, something like that, this would be the place to do it. This building was posted all throughout our Discord server, and I believe a little bit through the Instagram. But yeah, just mostly Discord. We're going to be getting a lot of that stuff on the gram later. So this is like the main central hub. It's surrounded by windows because, you know, for all we know, there's a live broadcast coming in. You don't want a door opening and all the noise, you know, these are essentially sound walls, by the way. So this is where they do the morning news, the morning show, and we have some nice warm colors, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, that based onto a pretty good view for what they have. A good view of Sᴜභꜱ. So down in here, I'm gonna walk you over to this door over here. We got the sound room. This is not supposed to represent filing cabinets, but computers, computer towers, and stuff of that nature. Sound mixers, Ethernet cables, stuff like that. And then we have this camera, which faces onto our late night show studio right here, where some guy who's big on comedy would stand here and interview someone or talk to the crowd. And you might be asking, what crowd? We're going to get to that later. There is space for a crowd. So right here is a teleprompter, or not a teleprompter, but a way of pointing on screen where the new weather person would be pointing on screen, because this is a green screen for the weather. The person would stand right here, and I'm sure you've seen this before with local news stations. They're pointing to the green screen, pointing to the computer, and they're actually looking off to the side. What they're looking off to is this screen, presumably, and here's the camera right here, and that's how the weather all works. Then I couldn't get a nice angle diagonally pointing right onto them, so I got side cameras and cameras from up above for this set. And then let's go upstairs, because that's where a lot of good stuff is up there that wasn't properly covered. Up here we have the rest of the lighting, a lot more of lighting. Then we got the two cameras that I mentioned. And then over here, there's this blank spot right here. You think, oh, well, he didn't finish the fencing job right here, because the fences, or whatever you want to call this barricade, would have come all the way out here. This is actually a catwalk for maintenance purposes only. And you'd fix, I don't know, lighting issues, wiring cables, set malfunctions. Here's another camera, more computers for operation on it. And then I believe, actually, yeah, like there's lighting pointing right down. I think this was genius. It just shows you all the new things that we can do with the push tool. Not the push, well, yeah, the push tool is very important that I want you guys to know that you can use this in your Piggy maps. So many interesting things that I did with it. And then right here, another set. This is probably one of the best angles I think I could have gotten of a major traffic intersection, where someone would be presumably talking and giving you the local traffic report while they stand in this room with a live traffic in the background. Instead of having to use a screen or a green screen to kind of overlay it, they just have that all worked out. And then right here, this black box right here. We're gonna get to that in a second. Over here we have the live in-studio audience. This is the best place I could fit it. And you might be saying, well, how are they all supposed to look down on here? There's gonna be a live feed coverage onto this screen, so their laughs would all be in time with everything else. There'd be mics, presumably, in this area. And then going up to the third story, which is not completely filled in, but for now it is. I mean, there's gonna be something else right here. We have up here our breaking news area, where the news primetime would be presumably held. And it has perhaps arguably the best location. I mean, that's also like saying that the morning news has the same thing. It's all the same thing. So then we have multiple different camera angles, but we also have a camera angle pointing out here towards what will be the beach. On the south end right here, down here, and then on the east end over here to the right, so the down and right, surrounding this whole this whole landmass, there's going to be a beach, a body of water. And at least on this end, it's going to be a beach. And it probably doesn't make sense geographically because you have this lush, dark green mountainscape with trees and forests, and then you go right to a nice beach. I'm still gonna blend it in, and it's gonna look nice in the end. So as you may have noticed, there's a skylight right here, and then I try to create desks, but apparently I got carried away with how much space I could deal with. So I used as little space as I could to jam in as many of these desks as I could. I think I did a pretty good job. And then up here, I don't know what I want to have here, but I didn't want it to go to waste. So essentially there was this trim right here of gray blocks, and I didn't want to get rid of it because that would affect the structural integrity of the building, and it would leave exposed blocks. So I added another one, and this is just kind of like a catwalk, a mezzanine. I don't know what we're going to put here, but what I do know at this end, you may notice there's 3 different cameras right here. They're all getting nice views of the press briefing room for the City Hall. And then if you go up one more flight of stairs, look at this. I believe a helipad will probably go right here, and then that's what you have up here. It's just the nice rooftop. We're gonna be putting a heckload of HVAC units all around. In fact, they might just go here and we'll just forget the helipad, because I don't want them obstructing the view of this giant, massive skylight right here. And that is pretty much it for the news center. There'll probably be a handful of minor details going into that. But let's talk about this. This hasn't received as much attention, but it got a whole new overhaul. I wanted the airport to fit in with its surroundings, and I thought, well, let's go with modern, because there's going to be a beach, a younger crowd most likely. Why not go for this gray, light, this tan color scheme, and maybe some darker colors later as a trim? But then I thought, well, let's make it fit in the surroundings that is surrounding it, instead of the surroundings that we will be adding later that may or may not have an impact on it. So why is there a death block there? And then you realize this is all mountainous. This is all green, lush terrain. Assuming all these trees are evergreens or pine trees or stuff like that, this would totally make sense to be a nice northern forest that you'd see maybe out in California or even Yellowstone or Yosemite. And I thought I want to do a building that looks just like a hotel or a log cabin or a resort that you'd see in that area. So I used the dark green roofs, the wood color scheme, and then some stone for the bottom. And I did as much of these little intersections. I realize I'm pointing with my mouse. It's not really helping. Right here, I have these vertical log connections where they like interlock with each other. And then the parking spot. I know you're probably going to say, well, why are you giving me a small amount of parking spaces? A limited amount of parking spaces. And this is an airport. People are coming in, leaving, working. You got to have an awful lot of parking spots. Trying to be as realistic as I can. I know this may sound ridiculous, but I don't think I want to do the parking garage style, which is what I originally had planned to do. Just have garages underneath both of these two land masses right here. And then I thought, well, if we're gonna be realistic, we gotta be realistic to a certain point. The water table here would totally be broken if I added a parking garage underneath either one of these places, because it's completely surrounded by a body of water. That wouldn't work. So let's take you inside this building, show you what we did. Not much has changed all that much, but the idea is getting there. We're not going to be working on it today though, because we're going to be working on the train stations and the whole transit system today, and we may or may not finish that. So what we have is we have the stone outer loop, and then in the middle we have wood, and then we have this fireplace, which is supposed to be similar to the one in Disney's Wilderness Lodge Resort. I mentioned that on the Discord. You guys can go check that out. And I also wanted there to be space here, so what I did is I put this in right here, this conveyor belt, because this is an airport. People need to get their bags on, and this can't all be resort-like. Well, I mean it can, but we have to remember its purpose of an airport is, load people on to the airport, load people onto an airplane to get them going. So that's what we got here. We're gonna be putting this. It's not just gonna be this conveyor belt. We're gonna have stuff in front of it, behind it, and around it. And then I have this other door right here. I think I want to put a patio out here. Maybe a restaurant. Maybe. I'm gonna have this all fenced in though. Back here, we're gonna They're gonna just finish this up. I don't know if it's gonna go out this far or out this far. Either way, it's gonna look cool. And then essentially, what it's gonna be is, I really wish this mouse could. I'm just gonna have to use my little character as a pointer. So the conveyor belts, the conveyor belt from both buildings are gonna merge. Not merge, actually, they're not. There's a reason for that. So this guy's gonna stay at the level it's at. I wish I could raise it and shift it, make it go up, make it go down, but that's a little complicated, and that would be probably inaccurate. So it's gonna go across the river. So the river is gonna be coming all the way out here, and then out onto the beach, out that way. So the conveyor belt will cross the river, and there would be either an elevated walkway from security, which is the security area. I forgot to mention that will be right in this area, and then maybe also right here. I'm not sure. We haven't thought about that yet. And then essentially the people would either cross an elevated walkway, or I'd make a whole transit tram system, monorail, that went to the next building, kind of like that you see, something like you'd see in MCO. Well, that would be the Orlando International Airport, something like that. I'm sure they have that at many airports. And then there would be this whole giant gate terminal, for lack of a better word. It would come all the way out here, and it would not connect with either building. It would not be directly connected. The bases wouldn't be connected with each other. They're both freestanding structures connected by the walkways or transit systems we have going from each place. And that conveyor belt, what it would be doing, it would go right to the first story of this building, because obviously you want that room to be elevated. So if you have that room elevated, the gate terminal, because you want people to get a nice view, you're gonna have the big giant windows going across the southeast end, kind of pointing out onto the beach, and that's a typical design for an airport. That's what we're gonna have there. And then it's gonna go under. They're gonna have a bunch of vehicles for loading and offloading things onto and off of airplanes and what have you, oil tankers and stuff like that. And then at the other end of that building on the first floor, there would be a conveyor belt system that would be elevated in line with one of the airplanes, and it would be taking bags off, bringing them into this, onto the first floor of this building, which will be elevated quite a lot, so that when it's elevated from this other building, which will probably, actually, I probably could bring the foundation out for the gate terminal. I could probably push that down so that this would be level with the airplane, and so that the one that's level with the airplane over here could be just on the ground. I think that could work very well. And then right above both of them would probably be the elevated walkway to get to both. So they all look like freestanding structures. And then this is where you'd exit. And then over here, I want to have a restaurant similar, like, yeah, a bar and grill. I had a specific idea in mind, but I realized why be specific when I can just go all out. And I could do anything. I think I want some sort of bar and grill looking out onto here, but I also, if I can, put a restaurant right here. But that's very ambitious of me to think of such an idea. And then this would be the onloading and offloading terminal, as I've said before, with ramps for suitcases and then the stairs. And that's what we got down there. But today, we're going to be working on a new thing, and I have some notes pulled up just about that topic. I'm going to take you to the central hub, where all the good stuff's going to be happening. Music won't load, will it? Okay. We're going to be taking you over to this green area. This has been blank for such a long time, and I believe now we're going to finally do something about it. I thought it looked fine the way it was, but I realize if we zoom out, you can begin to notice everything's all civilized, everything's all built up. Having that blank space, it's going to be, a new idea is going to come in, and I'm just going to take it apart anyway. So I might as well use it on an idea that I've had for a while. It was originally going to be like a bus stop / train station. But I realized the train station is going to be very important. So we're going to do that today. And we're going to get that out of the way. But before I even start building, I want to point out all the different stops it's going to be making. So I planned that out very well. So I'm going to start off with the central hub. It's going to start off 2 stories underground, not just 1, but 2, because we have other things going on the regular floor or across the city. You may notice, for instance, over here, you can see the dugouts, or what do we call them? Locker rooms for the sports stadium. That would interfere because I don't want the transit system to be connecting there. So it's going to be 2 floors underground, and one connection obviously is going to be right here. So that's actually going to be connected with the main station. So that's going to be 2 different entrances. That would be a great place to park. And the other one would be down here. We have this blank space in the stadium. I don't think I talked about before. Not there. Right here. And we could, if we wanted to take out more space, we could also use some of this space and just put a wall right here, halfway through the room. And then in this room, you just put the station, have an exit here, or we could have a hallway that went, oh wait, that wouldn't work. We smash, or Shake Shack's right there. And then what we could do is we could have that door lead. Yeah, no, it'd probably just be an external exit because of all the security that there's going to have to be for this building. And then let's go back down. We keep going, sort of following the road. It's either going to be the next station. It's either going to be right here because there's nothing here and I want there to be something here. Or I could say, let's just keep it blank and let's put it somewhere where it'll be useful and put it like right about here, maybe here. And what it's going to be, the station's going to be underground. So people question, you may be thinking, oh, well, how are you going to fit a giant building here? Or not even a giant building, just a regular sized building. I agree with you. It would, in the real world, that would not be structurally sound. It wouldn't be safe to put a building on the edge of a mountain like that. I mean, you could look at California and Italy and say they've done it before, but I'm not willing to try it. I think it's all going to be underground. It's probably going to be like right underneath the road, and what it's going to be is one staircase leading you up, so it's going to look very discreet under here. And so it's just going to be like one small staircase popping out of one of these mountain ranges. So people could just walk down, jump down. I have all these kill blocks here for a reason. To get to the airport somewhere in the city. And I was gonna say, why not just have a train station all the way down here? That wouldn't be an accurate representation because I want the train line to be all one level. However, there will not be a whole set of tracks coming all the way out here. There will not be a whole tunnel built all the way around here. I'm only building stations with portals to and from. That's my idea, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that when you're building something like this in your map. And then the next one will be a story below the parking garage here, which we've expanded. I forgot to talk about that. Let's go and talk about that. I expanded this out another, many blocks, but a good deal of blocks. Yeah, it ended right here. Right at the end of the elevator. So there's yellow poles. From the yellow poles all the way to the wall it's all new. And the parking spaces have also been what's the word? We've done a new layout of them because I noticed that I gave the spaces, the old spaces were 2x2, and now I made them 3x2, so that the real cars, the drivable cars, could actually fit. And I did that all across the whole parking garage. A story below that, a story below the parking garage, is where the whole train station will be. So there's going to be somewhere maybe along this road, we're going to have like a door, and it's going to take you down the staircase, and then there's going to be this bigger room right here, and it's going to lead you onto a track with a train, and there's going to be a portal on either side of the interior of the train. And then the train loop, the story below this comes out here, and you might be saying, oh well, it's going to go into this area, but not on this wall. If we look in, see what this wall is, this is the entrance and exit to the jails. Actually, this is the exit to the jail cell. And then in here is interrogation rooms. Now I could probably place that, but why have a train station near interrogation rooms? So the station's actually going to be in the parking garage where it would make most sense. Now I'm going to have a long tunnel come up. Oh god. That's not going to work well, is it? It's going to come out a tunnel. We're going to make it work. And it's going to come all the way out here. Just so that people... I mean, I could just say, well, we're putting the station there and that's that. But I want to be as realistic as I can. As much as I can afford to be. And then the last station will be... Well, there won't be the station. It'll be the central station. Let's just get right into this. I don't have any design ideas of how I want this building to look. So that's... I don't think there's going to be much of a building per se. It's going to be... Everything's going to be underground. I just said. So there's going to be a lot of deleting here. And then... Actually, we could... Instead of just deleting it all, let's see. Where do we want the entrance to be? Maybe like somewhere along here. So people who drive in here, you could drive in and out. There's an awful lot of space here. And yes, it's intended for the hotel, but train station's right here. So I think what we'll do is we'll put it right here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to start building the stairs here. Because it's going to immediately go down. It's going to go down one floor. Maybe buy your tickets, look at different train stations, have a list of different train stations, maybe have a few TVs going. I'm trying to think of what I don't use transit systems like that much. I have no idea. Maybe a few vendors. Let's just get rid of more of this green because we just got to make sure we clear out as much as we can. This just really feels like Minecraft because you're getting rid of a natural area to build buildings. And I want to make sure it's all covered by trees. And this will probably maintain the same shape. That's why I want to save as much of it as I can right now, just because I'll just be changing the colors. It's a simple color swap. And then I'm going to add a skylight. So the top's definitely going. You know what? That's actually a very... Now, I'm glad I said that out loud. Top's going. Because Why hold on to it if you know it's going to be a skylight? We already confirmed it's going to be a skylight, so let's just get that out of the way. And it's such a prime location, just like that news center. And I'm glad I'm eventually get rid of that the car repair shop. The thing's going. We're gonna put something better in there. I just can't think of what to put in there. I mean, you look at all the buildings we have. We've used bricks everywhere. The hotel is giant brick, essentially. However, I guess it wouldn't hurt. Keep it uniform. Make it look like a colonial building. I think that's better. Let's just make sure it doesn't look terrible. Oh, this is my favorite song. I'm kidding. You're gonna have to round it out. Or, I mean, you know, it's bricks. You're not gonna round it out. Who's actually gonna do that? What we're gonna do, I don't know if I'm overdoing it with the bricks, but I want it to make it look like all the buildings were built around the same time. So this whole city was founded around the same time, the same area. Well, obviously the same area. Oh, and maybe that... Oh, this was an old building built underneath. But then we could have like this historical fact about the building. Like, this building was originally built here, but then it sunk or something into the ground almost a story deep. And... Here it lies, and what we've done is we turned it into a train station, and here's the expansion portions. Then we make them a totally different color, so they clearly stick out. I'm doing individual blocks instead of the other blocks, so that if I want to delete or add in custom things, I can, instead of using the stretch block, which would be more, it would save more time, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't be exactly what I wanted, because I'm sure I'm going to customize something. That'll mean I have to take out something. I think it's pretty good, but now I need to add in some walls. I mean, this is the only building. Well, I mean, I'm just going to be doing a bunch of little small things. I don't think anything's going to be this big. For instance, can I paint over this? See, no, I can't. That's an example right there. I can't paint over that gray wall. I'm just gonna have to... You know what? I think I want to use... this guy. And now we're just gonna fill in this. We can assume that this is just an expansion off of the building. It's in the ground now. We'll say this was built like in the early 1600s or something. Something like that. Is that accurate to say? I mean, it sounds pretty accurate to say. And then, oh gosh. Do I put a window in here, or? I'm gonna add in bricks for this part. Or we could put in an old chimney. Because I'm sure buildings of this time period would have had chimneys. And then maybe this could have been, oh, a roof. Instead of having that black thing, we could put in a roof. But it was kind of dilapidated, so they put in this nice skylight. Yeah. So they're preserving an old building, but also giving it another use, so it's just not there on display. Then we just have to build a staircase. I think I want this to be a window too, if I can make it a window. And that's asking a lot. I just want there to be as much light as I can, there to be in this room as I can, because I don't want to, just want to make it look as old as I can. Kind of give it that, like, so the people that they know, I'm not in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going into the surface of the earth. Because I feel that way when the few times I've ever been in a subway station. You know, not necessarily claustrophobic, it's just, you're going down so far. Or you're not, actually. That's the thing. You feel like you are. Because you go down a set of stairs, then you're in this open area. Or maybe it's not open. It's kind of weird how they do these things. impressive, especially in the cities, because you know some of these buildings that the train station's going under are clearly older than when the station was built. You just wonder how they managed to put a station under buildings that are clearly older than the station, like historically old buildings. So that we don't have to see it clip through. I think that'll look pretty good. And it'll look pretty natural from the front. It won't look like something that was just built to save. Let's check the other side. Oh, did you do it on the other side too? Nice! I love that. And it's not clipping either, which is good. I think we want that. I mean, do we? I don't know. Do we like the color? I think it does the job, but it looks like something you'd see on the exterior of something. I don't know. Maybe a lighter color. Let's see. Does that really change? No, that looks even more exterior. And it looks pretty busy too. Yeah, it looks very busy. Is there a different texture? I do like the logo. I really do like that. It's very distinguished. I don't know how I did that, but this is why I say the map was not built all just by me. There are very little tiny things like that. That's great. Yeah, that looks fine. Because you can see the little crevice right there that suggests that this is supposed to be opened. Now we have to do it over here. Oh, this is gonna be a lot harder. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because... Is it? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think how... Maybe in front. Maybe try in front of other staircase. Or on both sides. So I mean, you really just want to prioritize it where people are going to be entering onto the train. I mean, this way isn't all that important. I think there should be a wall right here. Not a wall, it's like a little thin wall. And a short wall right here. Where the mouse isn't helping me at all. The mouse isn't on my side because you guys can't see my cursor. Right here, there should be a short little wall here. Turnstiles right here. Or even a whole set of turnstiles right here that go down. Because I want to have other refreshments and stuff like that. People looking into purchasing a ticket, people saying goodbye to other people, different things like that. You want to have space. I might put it's pushing it. I was gonna say we could put a carpet in the middle. It's really pushing it though. Well, maybe. That's good. Both sides. Okay, so now, yeah, a lot of the stream is going to be trimmed down anyway. Wow, I like what he's doing. That is good. It's very good. There's details I wouldn't even bother adding. I would just say, well, there's going to be a train there anyway, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. There's got to be a triangle or something here. Yeah, that's a very slim edge. Let's see what he's gonna do. That's gonna look so good. The amount of detail that's going into this. Okay, so what this is gonna be, the escalator. It's gonna come out, but as we can clearly tell, it's not gonna come out this way. This guy's put so much effort into this train track. Yeah, let's go over it, you know. the train, well, it'll be fine. It'll be fine going over the concrete, but no, that's not what it's going to do. It's going to come around this way because we have infinite space this way. We are just going to... The idea is that the train will take up the majority of the space. So the tracks will not be looked at. No one will be walking on the tracks. The station, this is the biggest station, so I'm glad we're putting in the effort, but it's just, the focus is people are going to be using that as a means of getting around. Because I can already see the reasons people say this map is not as good as it is. I mean, they're not saying that, but if that were to be the case, we got to have another method of transportation. The cars aren't amazing. My initial idea was, why not have a tunnel, but say the cars are trains, and have them drive around the tunnel. But I'm thinking those cars are so hard to drive on the roads, and the roads are going to be wider than the tunnel. You know what? There's going to be doors on both sides. On both sides of the train. So it doesn't really matter which side, because people are just going to use it as a means of getting from place to place. This is like a portal, but a glorified portal. It's like a much bigger version of it. Essentially all it is, hey, this place is going to get you either here or here. Choose your option. No, I built a whole train station about it. I'm going to add all these decorations. I'm going to add in multiple levels. And then I'm going to build a train. I'm going to build a track with details. Just so I can give the person two options at a certain point, a certain place in my map. Do you want to go this way or do you want to go that way? Do you want to go to this building or do you want to go that? That's essentially what it is. But I'm adding so much detail around it. And then we could go and do the Christmas update, because I know there's some things. I love what we have right here. Like that's like the final product right there. That's the final product ready. That's how great it is. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell to be notified when we upload or go live. I will see you in the next episode. And as always, comment for more content. You have been watching this on Piggy Plus.